Hello, everyone, and welcome to this episode of Truth and Tarot Time, where we have guests, guidance, and tarot wisdom. And my guest this week is the lovely Carly Ptak. Welcome, Carly.
Hello.
And I met Carly at the Heart Coherence Collaborative, which we're both members of. We both share what we do in that online group. As the name suggests, it is about embodying heart coherence. I will put a link in the description if you want to join that community. Um, so yeah, Carly does quite a few things. One of them is to read tarot. She tends to read it more for herself and at the farmer's market. And she uses the Masai deck, which I have heard of, but I've never used myself. So that would be interesting. So we're going to do a little card reading, see what wisdom comes up, and then we will discuss it and find out more about Carly as we go. If that okay, let's see what cards want to come out. Thank you, thank you, thank you. There's three, they're face down. It's just the way I prefer to do it. And the one on, oh, interesting. The one on the bottom, the Three
Oh,
of Swords. Now,
uh,
anyone that knows me knows that I have an inability to see negative in any cards because
mhm.
we're actually recording this the day after the eclipse. It will go out tomorrow. So we're in the week of the eclipse and the energy of it. And of course, there's a new moon as well. And there's all sorts of other astrological things going on. And when this high intensity energy comes in, we know that whatever isn't serving us comes out. And that can feel icky. Now, that can be on a physical level, and it can manifest as symptoms, but I like to look at it as in your body is naturally healing itself. But it can also happen on an emotional level. And of course, the Three of Swords is about past emotional pain. Although the swords relate to mental processes, they relate to our thoughts and our beliefs, but often our emotions are connected to our thoughts and our beliefs, especially about past events. If we're looking at a past event and thinking that person was wrong, the perpetrator, I'm the victim, they were wrong, I'm right, they're bad, I'm good. And if we're caught up in that, that's victimhood. And if we can change the way we think, we can shift from the resentments of victimhood into the empowering energies of co-creator, realizing that, okay, on the soul level, I chose this challenge in order to grow. And then you have transmuted that resentment, basically, because the Three of Swords is very much a forgiveness card as well.
Okay, interesting. I think of it very differently. One of the things about the Marseille deck that I like is that the small cards don't have any pictures. It's just three
Hmm.
swords arranged. And so for me, I think of the numerology
I,
associated with the element of the sign. So, the swords is thinking in air. And the three to me is new ideas, right? There's the
hmm.
one, which is just the solo, and then the two, the pairing. Basically, the three is like the baby.
Yeah.
It is the co-creative baby of the two. It's the new idea, but beyond polarity. So I think of it as a very exciting new ideas, new thoughts, new creation.
Mm. I love that. And that's why it's really good to have these conversations about it. But I'm still seeing that three, the one plus one equals three, the baby, as you said,
Right.
because the way I look at it is there's a collaboration. For me, this card is about reframing past events. So,
Hmm.
and if you're looking at, the perpetrator or whatever, or whatever's hurt you, that's your projection. And then how you perceive it is the second one, because how you perceive it is how it's going to come into form. That's your baby
Hmm.
that you're talking about. So threes, all of the threes do that in some way or another. Threes are that big stepping stone and they represent creations. And so I think for me, the Three of Swords is about taking radical responsibility, understanding that at a soul level, you have created your reality. I mean, obviously, you don't want to do the victim blaming bit. But on the other hand, if you look at it from a soul level, taking that responsibility is actually what alleviates the negative feelings about it. And you can look back and go, oh, what a blessing in disguise.
Yeah.
So that to me is so therefore I don't see anything negative about it, but I do see that 1 + 1, as you're saying, and the creation. It's like I had an experience, that's the
Hmm.
projection. I put my meaning onto it,
Hmm.
and then that's how it came about. Whereas if
Yeah.
I can choose to change that meaning at any time, and I can choose to see it as a blessing in disguise, I have that creative power.
Yeah.
So yeah, I actually like cards like the Three of Swords, but also I think because of this light coming in at the moment, I mean, there's a light coming in all the time, but this high
Mhm.
frequency, um, I have this analogy with the bucket of dirty water. It's like we're buckets of dirty water. And when you pour clean water in and you keep pouring it in, which is what we're getting from the, cosmos or whatever,
Uh-huh.
the dirty water comes out. And so for me, I see it like healing. It's like free healing that's happening. And when you can perceive it that way, of course, any symptoms, whether they be physical or emotional, you can acknowledge them and accept them and have gratitude for them, which of course is all expansive as opposed to being a victim to them all. So
Mhm.
yeah, I think that's probably very relevant for this week where the energies are so intense. And
Yeah.
the other card, look, this is the first of the three that came out. We've got the Ace of Swords,
So,
which is perfect because the Ace
hmm.
of Swords is a new way to perceive it, a new way to think
Yeah.
about it, a new belief to adopt, which
Yeah.
is going to be healthier for you. And these little signs are actually the Yod in the Hebrew alphabet, which represent the
Uh,
divinity. They represent the divinity. So this is a new way of thinking that is going to align you with your soul's blueprints because
mhm.
because feeling victim to your circumstances is not alignment with who you really are. And
Mhm.
that's funny, I just picked this one up and the one under, oh my goodness. Or maybe yeah, the other two are both threes as well. And
Oh.
so there's a lot of threes here. And the Three of Pentacles is also one of what we were just saying. There's the monk, which is the masculine, the nun, which is the feminine, and this is the
Uh-huh.
architect holding the plans because he's, like you say, the baby, the creation. He's the one
Uh-huh.
bringing it into manifestation from the masculine and the feminine. It's all part of the seven Hermetic principles, isn't it? The seventh Hermetic principle, the principle of gender, and how we have those creations. So yeah, new way of thinking. And it's
Yeah.
like an aha moment, and it can be a real breakthrough, can't it?
Hmm. I wonder, since you went through the eclipse yesterday, was there anything new, anything that popped through when the sun popped through or went dark?
For me personally, you mean on a yeah, not at that exact moment, but I'm very aware of the energies of them, throughout the whole week or just, building up. I
Mhm.
remember, I mean, like on Saturday we had the 8th of the 8th, and usually I can feel Lionsgate Portal, like, with its powerful Syrian energy. And this year I wasn't feeling it so much, but I think it's because there was this bigger build up to yesterday's. So I'm definitely feeling intense energies, but I can't say that it's exactly at the point, um, where we kind of it was setting at the time. So we
Right.
we saw the first part of it and it went dark and then it went light again,
Mhm.
but by the time it went light again, it was already set. So we didn't actually see the sun on that part, but we did see it get light again. But yes,
But
I think this applies to like the whole period of time. Um,
hmm.
and it
So
could
over
be
the week,
connected to other things, like you were saying over the pond. You had other astrological things going on.
to some degree, but I was curious of over the week as it's been going, have you had new ideas, even if it's not right when the eclipse happened, have new ideas arisen for you?
Oh, definitely, definitely. I've had some aha moments. And sometimes the aha moments can lead to what I would call an ego death.
Hmm.
When something bothered you and you might know, like, why is that bothering me? Like, your higher self is like, come on, I'm stuck in the pain body here, but it's like a repeat pattern, isn't it?
Uh-huh.
And so sometimes this can come up when you have an aha moment, and then you realize, that repeat pattern, I know what to do about it, or it is not bothering me anymore. Because sometimes I think we don't really need to effort that much. I think it's all happening anyway. It's like this, as I said, the clean water coming into the bucket, whether we know it or not, that dirty water is coming out. So it's not like, I mean, yes, I love all the affirmations and the meditation and the gratitude and all of these things that we can do. Of course, I love all of that. I write about it in my books. But also, if we're not doing anything, it's still going to have that effect on us. So
Hmm.
let's have a look, there we go. We've got the Hierophant. Oh,
All right.
wow. I love these cards, Carly. The
Yeah.
Hierophant's a major arcana. We've
Hmm.
just touched on the seven Hermetic principles and the principle of
Hmm.
gender, because to me, you see, he's got the keys here, which are the secrets, the keys to the secrets of the universe, I think. And he's mentoring to these initiates. I always think of the Kybalion. I'll put a link in the description. Because on YouTube there's an audio book of the Kybalion. Um,
Oh.
which is it's great to have it as kind of background when you're doing something. I mean, it's not something that, well, you can, of course, sit and listen to every word, but it's a high frequency thing. But I love that. The Kybalion is all about the seven Hermetic principles. Of course, they apply on all dimensional levels, but I talk about them in Lessons in Awakening and try and apply them to the human experience, because
Hmm.
they can get quite complex, of course. So I always think of the seven Hermetic principles when I think of the Hierophant. But he is a teacher. He is related to traditions, which I think is
Hmm.
interesting, because I think that's another thing about traditions is I always think there's a big part of me that wants to go back to old traditions, like living off the land and things like that. And I think childbirth and death, I think I'd love to see it honored more in nature with women chanting around and stuff like that, rather than in the sterile, hospital environment. But on the other hand, I think there are some traditions that we need to really run through our heart and ask ourselves, I'm living in Spain, we've got bullfighting here, and we've got to ask ourselves, are these traditions ones that we want to bring forward? So he does this, the Hierophant talks about traditions and different viewpoints. And he's very much about teaching spiritual texts and stuff
Hmm.
like that. But normally he comes up when um, the message is seek a mentor and then become a mentor, which I think is appropriate for us, isn't it? Because
Yeah.
you're mentoring people as well, and yeah, and obviously you enjoy learning as well. So that's beautiful. And the last one is the the Ace of Cups. So
Oh,
this is beautiful.
wonderful.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
loving this because this is, of course, this aha moment, which is on
Uh-huh.
a mental level, is
Hmm.
manifesting as more love in our life. Cups is also emotion. So there's emotional fulfillment here. It's also
Oh.
spirituality, it's creativity, and it's intuition. And the bird here is like a dove of peace. So for me,
Hmm.
whatever this aha moment, I'm getting quite excited now. Whatever
Yeah.
this aha moment is, um, it's it's deep and meaningful, I want to say. And it's resulting in more love, more peace, more intuition, and more
Hmm.
spirituality, more creativity, and all those wonderful things. A new
Yeah.
channel of love coming in and going out, of course. I always think a new channel of love coming in, but it's also opportunities to share the love that we have and the love that we are and the love that we
Hmm.
have for the things that we do. So it could be, channels of self-expression from us, but also
Hmm.
equally to us.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
lovely, isn't it, Carly? What do you
it
think?
is. It's a very lovely reading. And in the Marseille deck, the Hierophant is the Pope,
Yeah.
because that's the, kind of the original as far as people can trace tarot deck. And of course, the Pope has a little more of a dogma associated, but that feeling of being in the place of translating heaven into earth. That's really what that card is like recognizing yourself, or recognizing the translation and the sacred translation of the spiritual experience into the human body experience.
Yeah. That's beautiful. That's beautiful. But I mean, and these aces are powerful.
Yeah.
Yes, because in that deck, they don't use the minor arcana, do they? They focus on the court cards and the major arcana.
And no, there's the minor arcana too,
Okay.
yeah. They just don't have pictures. They just have
Oh.
the cup, I mean that one's mostly the cup, but it's just the cup, or the swords are just the swords.
Mm.
There's no interpretive picture to give you an idea about it. It's just like look at the swords and do the numerology of it, sort of thing.
Yeah, and which reminds
No.
us that we can actually use playing cards, can't we?
Mhm.
I've done that before now, although they don't have the major arcana, but they're kind of quite fun. But also, because I think it was earlier than the Marseille deck, there was an Italian family called the Sola Bosca, and they were apparently the first people to use the illustrations.
Oh,
And a few of the illustrations that they used, and that's back in like 14 something,
uh-huh.
I don't know, a long
Mhm.
time ago. Um, and their first deck, I think it evolved through a family, because they started identifying the archetypes with the family members. And then
Oh,
started making
interesting.
notes about them, and then somebody started drawing the pictures because there's a 10 of swords in that
Uh-huh.
deck, which looks just like the 10 of wands in the Rider-Waite with Pamela
Oh,
Coleman Smith's
uh-huh.
artist work. And also the Three of Swords, funny enough, it has the same image on it. And when I read about it, um, apparently that original deck from so long ago was in an exhibition in London in 1907, and of course the
Oh,
Rider-Waite deck came out in 1909. Um,
oh,
so I
interesting.
think it's pretty much established that
Mhm.
Arthur Waite and Pamela Coleman Smith must have gone to that exhibition, seen those cards, and been inspired by the artwork. So
Mhm.
it's kind of quite accumulative.
Yeah,
So yeah, it's quite good. Um,
yeah. So for me with the eclipse, thinking about the Ace of Cups coming up, right? The big overflowing cup. For me, even though we weren't experiencing the eclipse here in North America, there's, tiny little crescents. There was a tiny bit. But I went and charged some water for days ahead with prayers and different, you know, being around my energy when I'm in as highest energy as possible, and knowing that this water was going to go join a larger body of water. And so it was really the overflowing cup of my love joining the bigger flow, and hoping for that for all of the world to,
yeah,
feel that sense of overflowing cup, overflowing self.
yeah.
So,
And it's also a reminder, isn't it, that we do need to top up our own love, or however we want to interpret it, and serve from a place of overflow,
mhm,
rather than from a place of depletion, or from a place of obligation or duty. And that's why self-care, I think, is so important, isn't it?
mhm,
So that we can operate from that overflow. So
mhm.
that's beautiful. I mean, that was a beautiful little ritual that you did.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's beautiful.
So
So go on.
Deborah, I want to tell you, we talked about this before we started, but I'm at a friend's house and my phone is getting low on battery, and I didn't. It was I didn't bring a charger, is the truth. So my time might be shorter than I planned for it to be, and I may disappear, but I'll tell you when it gets down to 5%. But just so you know,
Okay. In
I'm
which
running low without a backup.
Okay, okay. In which case, I'd love you to tell us more about what you do in the HCC with your energetic integrity lab, but also what other services that you offer and what other practices you do.
Well, what I work with mainly is called sacred anatomy energy medicine. And what it is working with the energetic structure in a very detailed and specific way. And that's what for me over the years, yeah, I've been a practitioner since 2007. I became a hypnotherapist in 2007 and been doing that full time since. And over the years, I encountered different energetic systems, but they were too ephemeral or fluffy for me. Like, Reiki is great. I think Reiki is real and works, but it isn't detailed and specific. And so within sacred anatomy, we're working with 7 systems, just like in the body, how we have the elimination system and we have the muscular system and the energetic system. There are systems interplaying with each other. And there's a lot of name and language around the anatomy and then doing procedures with the anatomy. And that's what I love about doing it, is just it's detailed and specific, and we can really get into understanding the ways in which our soul self is processing energy even when we're not in a body.
Yeah.
That there's a lot of kind of more understanding of the processing of energy as a piece of source all the time, not just this story in this body. So that's one of the main things that I do. I'm a hypnotherapist. I do life between
Yeah, but the
lives work.
hypnotherapy is if that connects with past lives, have you found that often energy from other lifetimes can get stuck with the soul coming into this lifetime? I mean, I found
Well,
that with the soul realignment. I mean, you must find that in hypnotherapy.
yeah, well, that's what Sacred Anatomy allowed me to get a lot more detailed about it, is what I love. Because I've done past life work for 20 years, including life between lives, where we go to a past life, allow the person to die in between or die in that life and then go to the time in between. And there's a lot of profound realization. Of course, I always ask for healing, energetic healing when we're in this session. But through sacred anatomy, I've come to understand it a lot more detailed about how electromagnetic energy is the basis of what happens each time when we're in a body. And that actually, technically speaking, past life influence in our energetic structure is a piece of electromagnetic energy from when we were in that other life that didn't dissolve back into the library of our own structure. We call it the etheric layer. And that electromagnetic energy can get stuck in certain places in the anatomy. So it's not always just about the realization of what happened, which is amazing and useful, but also, if the electromagnetic energy is stopping an elimination wheel, which helps us release attachment, then the realization is not going to do something. But if we go and pull it out from that wheel so that wheel can spin,
Mhm.
that makes a huge difference
Yeah.
beyond the realization. So it's getting more technical with the energies.
Wow. And it's just so comprehensive, isn't it? And I think every time you take the healing to another level, like you say,
Mhm.
it just raises our awareness and takes us to new levels of consciousness, doesn't it? Um,
Yeah. And I think having more language, more detailed language in which to speak, and even when there's so many different modalities, and every modality is developing its own language. And my hope and idea is we're moving towards a more cohesive. It's not sacred anatomy, and it's not Reiki, and it's not there's a point at which it becomes more clear to everybody. We're all working in the same field, and let's, be able to communicate to each other more, that we move towards more of a one. I mean, not that it needs to all be the same, but the language could be, more cohesive between all different modalities.
Well, there's also quite an overlap, isn't there? You start getting an
Oh,
overlap for, like, for example, with the emotional freedom technique that I used to, well, I used to use it a lot more than I do now. You're using affirmations and things, which of course we use in the Psych K as well, which is the belief
mhm,
installing. So you probably find an overlap with some of the things that you do as well. But ha have you
mhm.
also found that? Well, you've seen with the emotion code, I tend to have condensed it down a little bit. A lot of these modalities are using rituals, which are great, but if you look at it from one perspective, they are literally just to hang our belief, right? Because if we believe that we can self-heal, if we believe we can self-heal from the energy of the eclipse, which I believe, then we can, right? If you think you can and you think you can't, you're going to be right both times. But the trouble is, we don't believe, do we, that we can heal that easily. So we do need the rituals, and the emotion code uses a ritual as well. Um, but when we realize that actually they are just rituals to hang our belief, and we have that understanding and that confidence of how things work, we can kind of reduce the ritual a little bit. Do you find that
I,
that's happened?
in a way, yes. But it's causing me to think about within sacred anatomy, whenever we make any shift in the energetic structure, we always go through a series of integration
Yeah.
because I think there's so many things that we do, but we don't let ourselves integrate it. And that to me is part of the genius is that when we consistently rather than paying attention to oh, this profound thing or oh, this thing changed, actually giving time and awareness to the integration of the change with the entirety of the self. That to me is
Yeah.
really, really
Well,
useful.
I think it's the most important thing. And I think that's why a lot of us are needing more self-care than we used to, perhaps. And I think that's one of the reasons that we're not sort of busying ourselves with Monday to Friday, 9 to 5 anymore, because that was grueling and keeping us away from that connection with self. But I
Hmm.
also think that that's why the cards came up like this, because this aha moment I see
Right.
him, the Hierophant, as being the understanding and the knowledge to integrate, having that understanding that exactly like you've just said, to integrate whatever this aha moment is. And that can take time and it may not take time. It doesn't matter, right? I mean, it's going to be different for everyone. And that's why this has come up afterwards, because I think he's very much a sign of the integration that you're talking about.
And just so you know, my phone just set him down at 5%. And I'm so sorry that I didn't plan ahead. It was a kind of a surprise that I came to these friends to watch the meteor shower. And I apologize for my
No,
battery.
no worries, but we can end it there, lovely. There's no reason why we can't have a little short one. It's been lovely chatting with you and connecting in this way, and we can always do it again whenever
I
your
would love to
battery
do
is
it.
more charged.
Yeah, yeah. And it's been just so great connecting with you this last week and this week, and I really appreciate what you're doing, that you're focusing on the wisdom of the tarot and bringing it forth for everyone.
Well, thank you, and I appreciate the finding wise people like yourself that I can do these things with, because this podcast wouldn't happen without the wonderful guests that come in. So, Carly, is there anything you want to say or share before we say goodbye?
What do you think about it? That's a excellent question. I want to give it some consideration. Um, I guess I would like to say that I'm just so excited about where we're all going. I just
Yeah.
feel so much energy that is, I know, worldwide. Of course, I just get to experience my small world, but I feel it everywhere. And it's so amazing. And I feel so excited about every day and the future in general. I really, really believe it's only going to get better and better and better from here on out. And and that's exciting to me. So I just like to pass that sensation along to whoever might be listening, that it's only going to get better and better. Like we're in it, and it's great.
I feel so much the same, and so many people like us feel this excitement. And what's beautiful about that feeling, that excitement, even if we don't really know what's coming, we just know it's going to get better and better, because excitement really is the physical translation of our soul being in alignment with what we came here to do. And
Right.
so when we meet excited people, I'm just like, right, you're in alignment, perfect. You're doing
And
what you
that's what
came here to do.
the Ace of Swords, I think, the new ideas, the new stuff, and then the Pope, like we get to experience it, and then our heart gets to overflow. And and there was the Three of Hearts, like you were saying, like we've got to step away from the victim, but just like step away from the victim, let the new ideas recognize each and every one of us is, an important piece of Christ consciousness that is translating, and then just let the translation overflow into our reality altogether.
Yeah, it's a beautiful place to be, but it does take that responsibility, that radical responsibility for taking responsibility for yourself, your life, what we're creating. When we can take responsibility for having created this, then we
Yeah.
are in a stronger position to create consciously what we want to create.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Carly. I'm going to put any links that you have. I'll put them in the description if you send them to me, so people can get in
Wonderful. Yeah.
touch when they want.
Yeah.
Thank you
Yeah.
so
Thank
much,
you,
Carly, for
Deborah.
joining me. Hopefully, we'll do it again one day. And thank you to anyone that got to the end of the video. So, sending love to you, Carly, and sending love to everybody else. So, bye for now.
Yeah.